So the men's Madison is up next, and we roll off now. They'll come around to get the first neutral lap done. One rider lining up in the start straight and the back straight. All of the other riders, their teammates, up against the fence. And we're underway. Denmark lead through. Yeah, nobody wants to go full gas right from the start and waste energy unless you're trying to do what the Swiss are doing, and that's to take a lap on the field. So this is an interesting tactic that has been successful in the past. And at the moment, there is a bit of tempo in the peloton, but not a real chase.
Yeah, they're starting to wind up the tempo in the peloton, but the Swiss are fully committed to this move, and that would have influenced their warm-up too. And there's been a crash in the back straight. The Japanese is down, unfortunately, while the Swiss is still powering on. It's not changing their race at the moment. They're still trying to catch a lap straight off from the start of this race.
The Swiss team are into the same straight. They've just come through here in front of us, and you can see all the traffic that they've got to negate as they get back towards the rear of the peloton.
Yeah, there's only 40 metres to go, and then they were on the back of the peloton. A lap up goes the Swiss team.
So they have given them the lap before they got to this first intermediate sprint. So the bell was rung for the peloton. Now the lap has been gained. They get the 20 points for that. Now the peloton will race for the 5, 3, 2 and 1.
And the Danish are strong, and they're going to take out the winner this first sprint as well.
Denmark get the 5 points. Spain will be second with 3. Then it's Mexico, third, 2 points for them. And then the European champions from Germany, Roger Kluge, came across the line to pick up the 1 solitary point. Wow, what a great start. Before the first 10 laps completed, we've got a lap gain, 20 points. La Salette has really put the pressure down now, and there's not too far from the next sprint. So 182 laps to go. They'll get the bell the next time around. And Denmark, they've done this to win world championships before. He's a former world Madison champion, Lasse. And they come through now for the second and intermediate sprints. Germany, the European champions, with Reinhardt in second position. So a real battle between teams that have been in the mix of the world championships, winning gold before, and Australia trying to come up around the outside to match them both or beat them, as they will. It's a real race down to the line. I think Denmark may have held on for 5. Australia finishing second. Then it was Germany and New Zealand. Now, I haven't mentioned New Zealand yet. They won in Adelaide last month in the Madison, and they were third at the World Championships last year. So Campbell Stewart and Aaron Gate, who won the Omnium last night, they are a super team to look out for.
The European champions of Germany, Roger Kluge, I believe that is, isn't wearing an aero helmet. That's just a normal road helmet. You don't see that very often in an old school racing.
He's an old school roadie.
Yeah, he doesn't want to change up his ways. He loves that ventilation, and why not? It's a long race, and he can back his legs in.
Now, those of you that can remember Sean Kelly, perhaps the last of the superstars to go to the clipless pedals, he stayed with the toe straps and clips for the longest period of time into the third of the intermediate sprints, and it is the German team. It's Theo Reinhardt that goes down the back straight, the European Championship colours. And he comes into the final straight, gets the 5 points. And there we see the Spanish team. The Spanish team may have pipped Checha for second, make a great change off the back of that as well.
The Kiwis are on the front now. We've got 5 laps to the next sprint, coming into 4 now, and they're not wanting to give that position up too easily because it takes so much work to get to the front. Once you're there, it's not too bad to hold it because you've got a teammate in a couple of laps that you'll join and sling them into the race to take over.
And after a good 5-lap effort from New Zealand, they do get the 5 points for it. So they get the points they wanted, but at what cost is always the question.
Yeah, that's right. That was a big controlled wind-up of pace there to get the bunch sprint, but they're wondering whether there's a move to be had with Team Bridgestone continuing off the front. And the Kiwis are looking like they're wanting to put some more pressure on the field. They were like, this is too slow. Let's get this going again.
So 1:42 to go, which means the next sprint will come around this time, and they won't do another change now, New Zealand. So Campbell Stewart's changed over to Aaron Gate. But Gate will have to do this entire final lap now for the points on his own before he sees Campbell Stewart again. Spain make the change, but the gap might be too big for them to run Aaron Gate down. Germany in third, then it's Australia for another point. Here comes Spain. They are going to try and get it off the back of that change, the extra speed, and they get the 5 points. So a tough one for Aaron Gate. It's a long sprint for him, but at least he picks up 3 points for second.
That's right. They're vital points, and you put an effort in like that, at least get top 2. Even if it's not the 5 points, 3 points still goes a long way in this race. But you can tell we're always calling the same countries near the front of the field, aren't we?
Yep.
It's always the Danes, the Spanish, the Germans, the Kiwis. And you can tell why they're such a class team, because they're always near the front. They're always near the moves. They can close down the threats when they come, and they can take an opportunity when they see it. It goes a long way in this race to be near the front of the field, but not pushing the wind the whole time. It's classy positioning, and they're always there ready to make their move.
Spain, Germany, and New Zealand up over the top. So it's Aaron Gate that will come over and around the outside. Really tight for Spain to get the change in just in time as Gate went through underneath. And Aaron Gate from New Zealand. Bronze medal in the World Championships, Madison, last year. He is the World Points Race champ. Picks up some more points again. What a comeback it was in the Omnium last night from Aaron Gate.
Oh, fantastic.
Incredible effort. And then you've got to back it up again into Madison today.
Yeah, but it's Aaron Gate. He can do it. He's done it all before. He's an absolute diesel, and once he gets going, there's no stopping him. The French have got a great gap here. If they can maintain this pace and keep this steady breakaway, then they've got a chance of taking a lap, depending on how ferocious the bunch want to chase them down as the Kiwis flow to the front. But the French are going strong. Got the solid tempo going, and they're committed to this. They're at least going to get this sprint point. They're only 3 laps away from claiming 5 points.
They're down in an equal 12th place at the moment, no points, which is perhaps the reason the top favourite teams have allowed them some leeway. They weren't too focused on the French, but they'll have to be if they gain this lap, because they're going to put themselves right back up in the hunt for the medals. They will definitely pick up the next 5-point sprint, but they are almost in the same straight as the peloton now as they come around to get 121 laps to go. So the bell sounds for the French as they come through. The peloton will hear it as well. They'll also increase their speed for this next sprint. So that also makes it really tough for the French to try and close the gap.
Yeah, that's right. The French are definitely going to take the 5 points here, but they're hoping after the bunch finishes their sprint, that the bunch sits up, gives them another opportunity to close down that gap, to finish off this lap take, which is a serious possibility as long as the bunch doesn't keep on with this sprint pace that they're going to finish through. The French are coming in with a new, fresh teammate, trying to finish off this lap take, but they're looking a little bit fatigued. Can they get this lap done? Because the peloton, I tell you what, they're looking like they're starting to wind up and wanting to deny the French this lap.
Well, if they don't gain the lap, which is actually starting to look less likely now, they can thank New Zealand, because they have powered off the front of the bunch in that last sprint, and the gap has opened right back up again. So this is going to be a real challenge now as we see the French team. They've caught the team from the United States. The US won't give them any help whatsoever. Not that they could, I don't think, at the moment. They're so fatigued. But the race is really blowing apart behind the French. New Zealand have really put everyone under pressure. Austria are chasing them as well. Mexico off the front of the peloton. Japan, the Bridgestone team. Then it's Denmark, but they're all on their own chasing each other. Spread all around the track. Typical at Madison's at this level.
That's right. You've got to pay attention, because it happens quick. All of a sudden, the French thought they were going to take a lap, but then the bunch wound up thanks to Aaron Gate and Campbell Stewart, and they're getting hunted down now. They've lost about 80 metres of their gap that they did have, and Aaron Gate now is leading the chase with the Austrian team to try and bring these French back.
So it's Scott McGrory along with Matthew Glaetzer, the former sprint world champion, calling all the action here, and we'll try and decipher as much as possible. You're only getting to see a limited amount of the track, obviously, through this monitor, but there are our leaders from France that are desperately trying to hold on. They're not too far, though. Although, while New Zealand have put in the big effort behind them, that has dragged another 5 teams to come out after those favourites. So there might be a bit of a slowing down. Just don't know if there's any energy left in the legs of France to then get some sort of advantage from that, because we're not too far from the next sprint.
Yeah, the French and the American team are definitely travelling slower than the bunch behind them. Can they hang on for one more lap as they come into the bell for the sprint now? They've put in such a big effort. They tried to get the lap. They've got one sprint. Can they get a second? Can they hold off? Because we've got the European Championships honing down, from Germany, that are closing down in on them. But they are looking like they're going to take the 5 points.
It is indeed.
They've got 10 points for that big effort off the front. I think they'll be quite satisfied with that. They know they're not going to take the lap now. Well, there's more riders joining them.
It has moved them up into 6th place. That last 10 or 12 laps was absolutely frenetic. Frantic pace set. Everyone is really starting to hurt. Okay.
And we're not even halfway.
We have not got to the halfway.
Not even halfway.
let's see what attacks might come now. Who has the energy to go on with it? We know New Zealand, every time there's a chance they want to go on the attack, but they can't make every attack, surely.
Looks like the Spanish here are really keen to put themselves in a good position to get some points here. They're on the front, but the Kiwis are coming around. Campbell Stewart isn't going to allow them to take the win. He's not wanting to get out of the action, and he's wanting to hunt down that 5 points, see if he can hold on from the Spanish team in his wheel, but it looks like it's too fast. He's going to get the 5 points. Spanish 3, Portugal 2.
And they just make the change after the finish line. So give you a bit of insight in that situation. Campbell Stewart obviously won the sprint, but Aaron Gate made sure he rode quick enough to do the change after the finish line, because if they did that change before the finish line, the Spanish during the change could have come over the top to pick up the points. There is a real deceleration in the middle of a changeover before you get the extra hand-sling speed and acceleration off the back of it. So smart thinking from Aaron to make sure the change was going to happen after the finish line. So Portugal still out there on front. Lurie Leitao putting in an incredible attack here, and Matias, they were 4th at the European Championships early this year in January. So they are a well-credentialed team, but they are racing against the entire peloton. And there's still the attack from Denmark that's behind them. Germany have gone out after them as well. There you go, Denmark, Germany, and then it's New Zealand once again leading the peloton. So this may come to nothing, because the Kiwis are desperately trying to shut down, not necessarily Portugal, but they're chasing down Denmark and Germany.
Yeah, there's definitely some action further back in the bunch from these Portuguese riders making this strong move off the front, which they're maintaining quite well. I thought they were going to get caught by the bunch, but they kept at it, and that strong move by the world champion has just enabled them to keep a gap and come into this final lap now to try and get another 5 points for their point tally as the Denmark team tries to chase them down.
They will get the 5. The gap's big enough, and you can see the race that's happening behind. Germany going over the top of Denmark. They'll pick up the 3 points. New Zealand is still there. Behind them is Japan and Mexico. So there they go through. It's Germany picking up 3 points. But Lurie Leitao, he is not holding off. He's continuing to power down. Matias, Joel Matias and Lurie Leitao from Portugal. Finally, they're about to get some company, and it's going to be Japan. So we've got to say kudos to the Japanese team. Through all of this carnage and the incredible high speed, the Japanese team are going to be the first ones to get to Portugal. They also have Germany with them. So 3 teams now off the front. Big gap back to Denmark, New Zealand and Mexico. And the peloton, the rest of the riders out here, in big danger of being caught and going a lap, or 20 points to all these riders that will gain a lap on them.
It's looking like there's going to be a few riders at the front here. You've got 6 countries having a good gap on the main bunch, which is completely splintered at this point. His teammate has just been slung in and is going for a move off the front again from this breakaway group. So they are committed to take a lap, this Japanese team. They're not holding anything back. They're seeing this as their opportunity to get some points, and they're coming in for a change with a teammate as they're slinging Aya Hashimoto back into the race as the Kiwis are trying to chase this move down. So
Kuboki it was that changed to Hashimoto at 73 laps to go. New Zealand, Mexico, they're riding well in the second half of this race, the Mexicans. Then it's Germany in the European Championship colours. Next sprint coming on, and it's Roger Kluger. He'll come through. You look around the track to see where his teammate is. He's not going to be able to change him before the sprint. So Leitao from Portugal, shoulder to shoulder up against the big German Roger Kluger, 2-time world Madison champion, but the world Omnium champ comes over to get the 5 points. Another 2 points for New Zealand. Japan getting 1. Denmark, Mexico and Spain again through that sprint under some pressure. Well, the only lap gain that has happened was 7 laps into the race. That was Switzerland. We have not seen them since. They still sit in second position, but they are in what is left of the peloton and about to get caught perhaps from this lead group. So Switzerland started really well. Then they have been invisible to this point. Let's see if they can do something and salvage a great top spot for them by the end of this. So New Zealand once again on the attack. 62 laps to go. Spain chasing them. Japan Then it's Mexico, Portugal, Germany, and Denmark. That is the lead group behind New Zealand. And with the next bell coming at 61 laps to go, the speed of Campbell Stewart, he's about to catch a group that contains Italy, Australia, Belgium, and Team Bridgestone from Japan. They are just around the corner. But look at this.
The Spanish team, is he going to spoil the party?
He does. Great little comeback from Spain. So I did say they're a team that not necessarily super quick in the sprints, but when you get to this situation where it has just been an absolute smash fest, it's really who has the best legs. And Spain showing that they're coming on strong towards the end of this. So they've caught that group that I just mentioned in front, and it's still Mexico who were off the front. They're behind this group, and they're joined by Denmark, desperately trying to keep themselves in contention. There they are. So with the New Zealand and Spain-led group, along with Portugal, Japan, and Germany, they have made contact with the peloton. Now behind them, the leaders on the track, even though they've been dropped by those riders I just mentioned, is Mexico and Denmark. So there's the lap gain. 20 points going to the total of all of those teams I just mentioned. And Denmark and Mexico desperately trying to get to the back of the peloton now. They are at the top of the picture. Peloton comes through. We'll see Denmark and Mexico appear almost at the back of the shot. There they are. I just saw Denmark. And they should be able to get through. So Denmark, it's left that is about to rejoin the peloton. There he is. Whew, bit of a scramble there from the Danes, but they have got their lap gain. There's another 20 points that they'll get for that.
Yeah, you don't want to have all that effort wasted and not get the lap when you're so close. It was a frantic 20 laps there, and it was benefited by those teams that took it on, maintained the front position at the front group, and the Kiwis to keep it driving too, because some teams were wanting to sit up, and so multiple teams got a lap because of it.
So as you see what they've done there with the Tissot timing is rather than giving 20 points to those teams that took a lap, because it was roughly half the peloton, if not a bit more, they've just docked 20 points from all of those teams that they caught. So 52 laps to go as they come around. Spain really starting to come strong here, up into second position. New Zealand lead the way. 6-point advantage that they have, but Spain are starting to show some real strength late in this race.
And they're on the front too, driving the pace again. So they're not letting people rest. They're wanting to get into this sprint, try and get another 5 points as the French try and chase them down in that fluoro orange helmet. But the Kiwis, they're not going to let them steal the points away from them. They've got such a strong turn of speed as they come around the final corner. Can he get the 5 points? It'll be New Zealand, France, and Spain for the top 3 positions there.
Well, Albert Torres from Spain will be really disappointed that the French popped over the top to pick up the extra point as well. As
the Czech team make a move off the front to see if they can put some pressure on this field and try and get some points towards their name, as there's only 3 laps until the next sprint. And we got the Spanish team and the French trying to deny them that, but they're fully committed to this.
They are fully committed. Dennis Rugovac and Jan Vonez from Czechia. I mentioned the Bendigo Madison earlier. These guys were riding that as well. They've just come over from Australia. They are down though, minus points, minus 18. They'll pick up these 5 points. And Spain will get second place across the line. The European champions, Germany, will pick up third. And the gaps are opening up a little bit because Japan on the attack. And they're in a strong position, sitting in 6th overall. They have been showing themselves. They just haven't been nailing the sprints. Now they've got an opportunity with 33 laps to go to pick up some points here. And will there be hesitation behind? That's the big question. They might be able to gain a lap here. I'm sure New Zealand will be trying to do their best to make sure that does not happen.
And they're looking strong. They've got a good gap to the batch behind, and this will then jump them up, close the gap to Denmark because they're 10 points off of them. So they desperately need these points, but they really need a lap to get back into contention of the medals. As they come through now, take the 5 points.
So Germany finished second, New Zealand third. Now the big question, because they did accelerate, of course, for that second and third position for that sprint. Japan are forging ahead out in front. Aya Hashimoto, you can see that they are now half a lap up to the back of the peloton. This lap gain, the 20 points on offer, it's a real possibility now.
They're getting close, but there's so many people in the way. And they missed the change too. So his teammate didn't know he was coming. It was chaos there. So this is really going to hamper their progress. Now this is going to be a long turn from Hashimoto. Yeah, he's going to be having to do it on his own. The bunch has increased their pace, not making it easy, but the Japanese is, after that break, is making good ground. He's not too far now. It's about 20 meters away from making connection to the bunch and taking the lap.
Kuboki makes the change to Hashimoto. The benefit of that almost near disaster, they will get another 5 points at least, but it's the 20 points that they really want. You hear the bell sound for the peloton as the team from Japan, Aya Hashimoto, he must be hurting. To be left in the race when you're trying to gain a lap on the field, that is almost impossible to overcome, but he's trying to do it. He picked up the 5 points, the race behind New Zealand, then it's Germany, then it's Denmark. They pick up the minor points. We focus on the team from Japan, trying to gain a lap on this very fast-moving peloton, and Kuboki comes back in again. Here it is, and the crowd here in Hong Kong appreciate the effort. They saw just how challenging and difficult that was at an incredible average speed the peloton was sitting on.
Oh no, these Portuguese riders have attacked off the front with some venom, absolutely, with the Switzerland team trying to chase them down from behind. But they've got a good gap on the bunch now. The Portuguese team, they're flying along, hugging the bottom of the track, going the shortest distance possible to try and get a gap on the field.
Now TS comes in to change over from the World Omnium champion, Lei Tao. They'll get the bell for the penultimate sprint. Now the peloton are going to keep the speed up here, of course. So while they are a half a lap up on the peloton, they are desperately trying to gain a lap. It's going to be in the throw of the dice at the end of this race if it happens, though. Portugal will get the 5 points. Switzerland will pick up the 3. New Zealand have now gone off the front of the peloton, followed by Germany. And there's confirmation. Penultimate sprint, 10 laps to go. Portugal get the 5 points. Look at the speed of Portugal as they buzz past the teams that have been dropped from the peloton. It's still New Zealand that are trying to avoid being lapped here by Portugal. And they're about the length of the straight behind the peloton. They are not going to gain a lap now. It's 2 laps to go for Portugal as they come around. Switzerland are still the second team on the track at the moment. So double points on this last sprint. Portugal, I can tell you, they will get those 10 points now. Switzerland are trying to hold on for the 6. And then there's a real scramble from Spain to try and keep themselves in the hunt for the medals. They sit in the bronze medal position. The final bell, 10 points at the end of this lap. It will go to Portugal. The bell you just heard, that was for Switzerland, so they'll pick up the 6. And while the final change for Portugal is made, they'll go up to 33 points. They are waiting to see what Spain do, because Portugal right now are in the bronze medal position. But I can tell you that Spain have just crossed the finish line in 3rd place. They get 4 points, so they stay in bronze. Great fight from Portugal to get themselves up into 4th. Didn't quite get the medals, but in the end, after that mad scramble, this is the team that take gold. New Zealand, back-to-back Madison wins at Track Nations Cups for 2024.